Welcome to our explainer on the transformation of James from thunder to servant. Today we're diving into an absolutely incredible life story. We're talking about James. You know him as one of the original 12, right? But he wasn't just any disciple. He was actually one of the three closest to Jesus. And, most notably, he was the very first apostle to literally give his life for his faith. So this isn't just some dusty historical account. It's honestly a profound masterclass in leadership transformation. Think about this for a second. Who was the first apostle to give his life? In those incredibly dangerous early days of the church, what kind of immense courage did it take to actually lay down your life? How does a regular guy grow to a level where he willingly makes the ultimate sacrifice for his leader? Well, we're going to uncover the mystery behind his journey today and really get into the story that led to this remarkable sacrifice. Part 1, A Fisherman's Calling. So let's start where it all began, with James's completely ordinary, everyday life. This epic story starts right on the shores of the Sea of Galilee. James is just working as a fisherman alongside his brother John and their dad, Zebedee. The heavy fishing nets, the reliable boat, that was his entire world. But then one day, Jesus is walking along the shore, and he gives this simple but totally life-altering invitation. "Follow me, I will make you fishers of men." And when James heard this compelling call, he didn't hesitate for a single second. He walked right away from his baseline security, leaving the nets, the family boat, and his father, all to follow a completely brand new model of leadership. Part 2, The Sons of Thunder. Now, our protagonist here, definitely a flawed hero at first. You know how Jesus often gave his closest followers these super revealing nicknames? Well, for James and his brother, he chose Boanerges. This literally translates to Sons of Thunder. And honestly, it perfectly anchors his baseline leadership style. He was fiery, he was brave, but he was definitely driven by a quick, aggressive temper. This raw, ambitious, kind of punchy nature really set the brothers apart from the rest of the pack. Okay, let's dive into this. To really understand this thunderous personality, just consider the time a Samaritan village refused to welcome Jesus. James's immediate, impulsive reaction is kind of shocking. He asks, "Lord, should we call down fire from heaven to destroy them?" Wow. This really highlights a pretty toxic early view of leadership, doesn't it? He genuinely believed power meant dominating, punishing, and just completely destroying your opposition. It really goes to show just how much he had to learn. Part 3, Redefining True Greatness. Let's look at how Jesus completely shifted this mindset. Right here is where we hit the core conflict of our whole story: raw human ambition. One day, James and his brother walk right up to Jesus with this incredibly bold request. "We want to sit at your right and left in your kingdom." Think about that. The sheer ambition and pride on display here is staggering. They're directly asking for the absolute best seats of ultimate power. They were treating spiritual leadership like it was just a climb to the top of a corporate ladder. But Jesus immediately countered with a deeply challenging question. He looked at them and asked, "Can you drink my cup?" By asking this, he was really checking if they could truly endure the intense suffering and sacrifice that his path required. And James, full of that thunderous eagerness and blind ambition, just boldly shoots back, "We can." And this brilliantly illustrates the massive contrast we're looking at here. On one side, you have the world's standard of greatness, right? It's all about seizing ultimate power and ruling over others. But Jesus completely flips the script. He establishes that true greatness actually means becoming a servant to all. He made it crystal clear that to be a true leader, you must first serve. That was a radically countercultural idea back in the first century, and let's be real, it remains just as countercultural and challenging in our modern world today. Part 4, The Inner Circle. So how exactly do you transform this aggressive son of thunder into a servant leader? Well, Jesus did it by bringing James into his intimate inner circle. Let's look at the timeline here. Chronologically, we see 3 profound private moments. Early on, James was in the room when Jesus miraculously raised Jairus' daughter from the dead. Then, in the mid-ministry, he witnessed that stunning divine glory at the Transfiguration up on the mountain. And finally, on the last night, he was right there during the agonizing prayer in the Garden of Gethsemane. Witnessing these deeply intimate, vulnerable, and powerful moments, that's what steadily melted his aggressive heart. Part 5, The Ultimate Sacrifice. After Jesus ascended, this once hot-headed James emerged as a resolute, incredibly focused leader. He boldly preached the gospel despite the rising, deadly danger of the early church. But then came the tragic culmination of his story. King Herod Agrippa specifically targeted him, and James was arrested and executed with a sword. In doing so, he achieved a very somber historical milestone. He became the very first apostle to be martyred. Remember his boastful promise from earlier when he arrogantly claimed, "We can drink the cup," just to grab at power? Well, looking at this ultimate reality, he actually transformed that arrogant ambition into the ultimate selfless act of servant leadership. He quite literally laid down his life for Jesus. Part 6. Lessons in Transformation. So the crucial point is that James' ancient character arc is actually a profound blueprint for our own modern leadership. We can distill his whole life into 3 main takeaways. First, we have to be willing to leave all our comfort zones and everything behind to follow our true calling. Second, we must realize that true greatness doesn't come from a fancy title or exercising power over people. It comes exclusively through serving them. And finally, true faith and authentic leadership are proven not by what we demand from others, but by our willingness to sacrifice. This incredible transformation from thunder to servant leaves us with a deeply personal challenge today. When the stakes are really high, how far are you willing to go? How far will you follow Jesus? I really hope this explainer has inspired you to reflect on your own path of personal growth and servanthood. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this profound story today. Keep learning, keep serving, and I will catch you in the next one.